Hopefully my phone stays up there.
You're good to go.
Okay. I apologize in advance if my internet is rude. It already says your network bandwidth is low. But I tried to put my phone up because I'm using my phone and put all my notes on it, but I tried to put it up by the window. So we'll just see how it goes. Okay. So excited to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is self-care. And okay, hold on. I need to change my view. That isn't, I'm still spotlighted for everybody else, right? Okay. Raise of hands if you've heard me talk about self-care before. And you can comment too. And if you're watching the recording, you can just be like, yes. Just tell yourself you've seen it. Okay. It is one of my favorite topics. And usually we talk about the things like, oh, it's important to take self-care. Let's go to the spa. Let's get a massage. Let's get our nails done, lashes, all the things. I think that's what a lot of people think of when we think of self-care. Sometimes it just looks like going to Target and walking up and down the aisles looking for the clearance end, and just spending time by yourself. Sometimes for me, it looks like I pulled up in my driveway and then my kids are coming out going, why are you still in the car? You've been out there for 15 minutes. Why haven't you come in yet? Sometimes it's, if you're guilty of this, it's totally fine. You take a little extra bathroom time. You know, like you went in there, you only needed like 2 minutes, but you took like 20 because the door actually locks. There was, in our old house, there was one door in the whole house that had a lock. Just one. We had 3 bathrooms, but only one door that had a lock on it. Not sure why, but that was my bathroom. And so we would go in there. Me and my husband would take turns sometimes. We're like, we're not really doing anything in there. Sometimes I just sit on the floor and just take some time to myself. So I think a lot of times that's what we think of when we think of self-care. But I kind of wanted to touch on some other stuff. Yeah, the bathroom. I posted many years ago on, I think it was on Facebook, of a picture of me in the bathtub with, the curtain drawn, because I had all toddlers. And I just posted like, if you're a mom of a toddler, hide in the bathtub and they'll never find you. I mean, I think once they hit a certain age, but that they'd come in, mom, but they wouldn't think to look behind the bathroom shower. So it was perfect. So tonight, let's kind of talk about other ways that we can give ourselves self-care. Things that I think often we don't do because we're hard on ourselves. So first, I want you to commit to yourself for the rest of this holiday season, as crazy as it is, as stressed as you probably already are. I'm stressed. All of my holiday all of my Christmas shopping is done, but I am still so stressed out. There's so many things going on. I have a show this Saturday, and I have a bunch of meetings for the rest of the week. And then, of course, I had already committed a long time ago to help up at the school to decorate because Santa's coming on Friday. So that's super important. And like all these things, right? And then you kind of schedule in your mind, like, and then I sold Karen wanted me to mention this. So this is perfect. So I ended up purchasing a bunch of hand cream and hand soap during like the mega sale that we had a few months ago, just to actually give as gifts for myself. But I decided, let me throw this out there and see if some of my customers want these little bundles I've put together. And so I had 83 bundles and I've sold all but 4. So if you're wanting to do the same thing and you want to add a little bit of stress to your holiday season, but also add some savings, I've almost run out of people who are kind of designing. So I did this for $5. Super cheap. But there is pineapple, coconut vanilla, the hand cream is on sale right now in the clearance sections for $6.30. So you can throw that out there and just call it an even 7 with your tax and everything and save for $7. You can go to the Dollar Tree and like I love, do I have them in here? No, they're all in the car still. I love Dollar General, the Dollar G, and they have, sometimes their stuff is so much better than Dollar Tree and it's around the same price. Am I breaking up a lot to you guys? Or is it just, okay? Are we okay?
It's better now.
I'm sorry.
No, you're better
This
now.
dang
You're fine.
interwebs. Okay. I might try and switch my internet if that doesn't get any better. But anyway, so the Dollar General is amazing. And like they have these 2 for $1 coffee cups that I've gotten, and I put the hand cream and maybe a few other things like a nail file, or you could put hot cocoa in it. And so that cost is really inexpensive. And then you throw it out there and say $7 for some teacher or coworker gifts. And so that's what I've been working on. And now I have like a million, well, like 83 packages to put together. And good job, Jen. So you're doing it. So I've never had that much excitement before. And I only did a project broadcast. I didn't even put it on social yet. I just did it this afternoon. So that's really exciting. But now I'm a little like, oh my gosh, I have to get all these done. And there's a lot to do. But so you're kind of planning out when you're going to do things, how you're going to do it. So I want you to be nice to yourself. I want you to think about, instead of going, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to get all this done and I'm really stressed out and I should just quit. I don't know if you all have ever felt like that. You're like, I'm just going to give up and I'm going to go to bed. That's okay. You can totally do that. If that is what you're needing in that moment, just go to bed. But I don't want you to spend time comparing yourself, because that's also very easy to do right now. I want you to work on being kind and being nice to yourself when there's all this stress happening. There's all the things to remember. And I feel like, just like Karen was talking about right before we started, you're getting all these emails and all the things like, you got to buy this and you got to do this. And oh my gosh, I haven't decorated for Christmas yet. And oh my goodness, are we going to go look at the Christmas lights? Are we going to go do this? Just take a moment and take a breath and realize that it's okay if you don't get everything done. Especially right now, my house is a disaster. Well, let's be honest. It's kind of always a disaster unless we have something going on and people are coming over. It just happens because you don't have time. Like, you're selling Scentsy, or you're going to work and then you're coming home and still working your business, and you're taking care of kids, or you're taking care of animals, or you're doing this or you're doing that. Like, there's so many different things that you have going on. So be nice to yourself in the fact that it's okay if your house just falls apart right now. It's okay if you have piles of laundry. I actually started paying my 14-year-old to do my own laundry. My husband and I are really great at running it through the washer and dryer, but then it will, for 16 years, pretty much, it just sits in a laundry basket all the time. And I was like, I can't do this because then I can't find my laundry. And I love that my husband will do my laundry. I don't know which baskets it's in. So I'm like, that's it. I'm going to pay my 14-year-old to do my laundry. So every laundry basket that she does, she gets $5. So I'm like, I need to be able to find my clothes when I need them. I don't have time to go digging anymore through laundry baskets. So if that's what you need to do, it's totally fine. I got one of those robot vacuums that will vacuum for me. So I don't want to pay a house cleaner to come and clean my house. So I justified it, and I got a vacuum that will do it for me. And she's a lot cheaper than hiring somebody. So it's those little things that if you want to do that, or if you just are going to dig out of a laundry basket like I have for the last 17 years, that's okay too. Like, it's totally fine. But don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're stressed out to the point where you're like, if one more dish goes in this sink and someone else doesn't help do the dishes, I'm gonna lose my mind, then ask for help. Sometimes I just have to go to my husband and go, okay, this is my daily check-in. I'm letting you know that I'm tired and I'm stressed and I'm gonna need help for the next however many days with this thing that I'm doing. If you have a roommate, if it's a husband, if it's a kid, then if you need help, just have a nice sit down before you blow up. It's typically better to do it before you just lose your mind. It goes a long way. Try not to compare yourself to everybody else. Everyone is putting up their beautiful trees and they look amazing. And like, I have a friend who people pay her to come over and do their beautiful trees. And so she actually has her own beautiful tree and her house is beautifully decorated. And the only ones I just purchased like last week, and that's it. Everything else is still at it, but I'm not going to compare myself or get frustrated that I'm so behind in decorating, because I'm not, because I'm busy doing other things that are more important. Oh, unstable. Okay, let me know if it gets really bad.
You're okay for now.
Okay. Maybe, hold on, let me switch my internet back. Okay, let's see if the Spock, my husband names all of the Wi-Fi that we have. This one's named Spock, so we'll see. Text everyone to get off the internet. Get off the internet. Hey, y'all, this only happens in the evening. Like literally throughout the whole entire day, everything is fine. I can Zoom fine. I can do everything just fine. And then in the evening, it's like really bad. So I apologize. Okay, what I do want you to do is say yes to joy. Say yes to doing what brings you joy. If that is sitting on the couch watching Hallmark movies, or spending time with your family, or reading a book, then say yes to that. Even if you still have a sink full of dishes, the dishes can wait. The time that you spend with the people that you love, or even on yourself, because that includes you. You should love yourself. You should spend time doing that. My tree is up, but nothing is on it. I love that. Sometimes just an empty tree is something so beautiful about that. You can get to the ornaments when you get time. Addicted to Hallmark. I know. That's one of the things I don't really get into is the Hallmark movies. I don't know why, but we have watched the new Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds Spirited like 4 times. So we are addicted to that one. That's really cute if you haven't watched it. Okay, so another thing I want to touch on is taking care of your mental health. If you know my journey at all, sorry, I think my Dr. Pepper's coming back. I am really open and honest about the mental health struggles that I've had over the years. And I like to be open and honest about that because I think it's something that I don't want to say that we have been taught that it's kind of shameful, but I think we automatically feel shame when we have depression or anxiety that something's wrong with us. Why can't we fix it? And why do I have to live like this? And then we don't realize how many other people are going through the same struggles. And so I like to be really honest about it because I've been through it for many years. My oldest is 14. I was blessed enough not to have anxiety or depression, growing up, so I can't relate on that. But once I had baby number one, that's when I got to start enjoying that side of life and experiencing it and realizing how hard it is. And I've had different ups and downs, depression first, then anxiety. And I even had massive, since my car accident in July, my anxiety around driving has gotten extremely bad. And I thought I was doing pretty good. Like, I kind of had anxiety before that in driving, but I had figured a way around it. And if my husband, if anyone else was driving, it didn't bother me. Well, that apparently is not the case anymore, because driving to Dallas and back, I had some major panic attacks, and it was not a pretty day after Thanksgiving. So, but I've been learning how my brain works and how I can work through things and the tools that I can use to move past those moments. And I think especially around this time of year, because it's chaotic, because we have a lot going on, because of the added stress of just normal life mixed in with the holiday season. But then we have sometimes some added stress of family time, whether we love our family or not. Sometimes there's that stress of, I'm going to spend so much time with them, and my brother's super loud and my sister's annoying, and then there's my mom. Or you love your whole family, but then it's a lot. It's overload, or maybe you've lost a loved one, and so then you're experiencing that. But whatever the holiday season brings, it's just a lot in many ways. And so around this time, I want you to work on taking care of your mental health. Some people really enjoy journaling. I'm not one of those. I like to journal out loud, meaning I like to just talk about it. So I Marco Polo a lot with friends, or I talk to my husband a lot. I just need to talk things out. It's not necessarily a vent session, but it's just, I need to like talk about things and just work through issues. You can also go see a counselor. I have seen a counselor on and off this past year. I took a break for a long time, worked through some stuff earlier this year. And then I've been going through a lot of family stuff, like officially cutting my mother out of my life and like our whole family life. And so that has been kind of traumatic. I'm still getting fun text messages from her or other family members that sometimes I need to work through. And so I did go back and kind of freshen up with my counselor, or even just talking to her about driving and going, what do I do? How do I get back to that? And working through some things like, she's like, well, have I taught you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? I was like, oh yeah, Mel Robbins taught me 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And she's like, no, it's a different 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you're feeling anxious, then you don't just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and get up off the couch or jump out of a car, because you can't do that. But you can, it's 5 things. What are 5 things I can see? What are 4 things I can hear? What are 3 things that I can smell? And you kind of go through that, all those things, and it kind of brings you back to the moment. And I actually did that a lot on the car drive until it quit working. But it is very helpful if you are kind of in that present moment of anxiety where your brain is racing and you can't calm down, and you're like, I am gonna either punch somebody or lose my mind. Kind of do that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Self-help books. I just read or listened to the book You Are Awesome by Allison Faulkner, which you can go out and buy it, but this is our February book club book. So you can start now. She also has a podcast, Awesome with Allison, but it was just super helpful. Any book like that is some type of self-help, reminding you that you're amazing, like Brene Brown, all of her books are really great. Even Bob Goff, books like that kind of help remind you who you are and how important you are, and that where you are in your life right now is enough. And even though we should know that, sometimes we need that reminder. So remembering that it's nice to have a reminder from someone else. And I like Audible because I'm not just reading it and kind of telling myself, these people are telling me in my ear that I'm important and that I'm enough and that I'm doing great. And sometimes that's all I needed. I was kind of in a bad mood last week and stressed out. And then as I'm painting all the trim in my house, I'm listening to this book and I'm like, yeah, that's right. I am doing enough. I am great. I can do hard things. If you are religious, I think spending time praying or reading your scriptures is super important. If that is part of what you believe in, I think that is super helpful. I think moving here out to the country where I have horrible internet has been amazing and super duper hard. But one of the biggest blessings that I've gotten out of it is finding a doctor that is actually helping me figure out what is wrong with my body. I saw a doctor in Arlington for years, and she kept prescribing the wrong thing or not listening to me, the patient, and the this doctor here that I have found listens, and she's like, you know your body best. You know what you need. Let's run all of these panels. And she has figured out things. And then she's like, well, why haven't you been doing this? I'm like, well, I kept asking her and she wouldn't let me. And so she's like, well, that's it. We're doing it. So if you feel run down, if you feel like your body's not working properly, then find a doctor that it is hard to find a doctor that will listen. Ask all of your friends on the Facebook, ask people, be willing to drive. I had to be willing to drive 2.5 hours away. Not because I knew that this doctor was going to be amazing, but I did listen to the Lord when he said, y'all are supposed to move. And people will ask us, why did you move? And our answer is always like, I don't know, because we did. But one of the big blessings was finding a doctor who does listen, and she thinks outside the box. And her and her husband actually do the practice together, and they're both amazing. And my husband sees her as well. And so as you get older, I don't know if y'all know this, but your body changes, and things, that you didn't have a problem with 10 years ago or even a year ago, your body's like, JK, you get another problem. And so doing full panels, like, I have learned I have low B12. I just have chronic low B12. And I've been asking Fierce, can I just do B12 shots? Guess what I get to do every week? I get to do B12 shots because this lady is like, yeah, you do have low B12. I'm like, I know, it's not a heart condition. It's just B12. So yes, getting old is not for the faint of heart, but you do have to become your own advocate, and you have to look around, and because if this is your child or your husband, you would spend the time finding an amazing doctor. You would go to the ends of the earth for them. So you have to do that for yourself too. You have to be willing to drive or do whatever it takes to figure out what the heck is going on with myself. And that can look like just doing research and finding really good vitamins. It can be, if you do have anxiety or depression, it can be getting on meds. But I will say that sometimes, like in the case of my husband, he's had some really bad depression the last few years. Well, guess what? His testosterone has been low. And that having low testosterone can lead to anxiety and depression. So he hasn't gotten off his meds right away, but we're starting to kind of wean because we're figuring out other things that are going on in his body that are causing this. So sometimes it's just, we got other stuff going on that some doctors are just like, just take meds, which isn't bad, but I like to know what's really going on. That can be like a whole soapbox that I won't stay on, but really advocate for yourself and figure out what you need and what you can do better. And that includes
working out. Sometimes people work out for fun. That's not me. But a lot of people, like I have a really, really good friend. She works out every day, and it's not because she wants to look thin and like be super muscular. She has to do it for her mental health. If she doesn't work out every day, she is in the worst mood and her depression kicks in like that. And she'll know, she's like, I gotta go work out. I gotta go get on the bike. I have to go take a walk, whatever it is. She has to do something physical with her body. Otherwise, her mood plummets. So, add that in. Oh, your Medicare card. Well, that means you get discounts too. So I love it. And eating better. So some of us don't react to certain dyes or gluten or sugar, and we're fine. And some people, it really does affect their mood. I have a friend who both of her kids are allergic to corn, and they don't get hives with the corn. They get really, really cranky. So no, if her kids went to someone else's home and ate junk that they weren't supposed to, because they come home super duper cranky. So sometimes just the food that we eat can cause our brains to not react well to that. I think obviously eating better in general is good for us, but sometimes it's even more important because it does affect our mental health. I already talked about counseling, but there's so many different types of counselors there. You can also do coaching. I've done both, and both in different types of types of seasons that I've been in. And I think there's also different types of counseling. Some people will say, well, I've done counseling, it didn't work. So ask yourself the deeper question. Why didn't counseling work? Is it because you didn't like the counselor? I've had a counselor I didn't like. She just kept quoting to me the Alcoholics Anonymous, like, accept the things that I cannot change, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not actually helping me. You keep repeating that. And I did not like her. And so I quit seeing her. And then eventually I found somebody else that I liked. So if you didn't like one person, then try somebody else out. It should be like any doctor. If you go to the doctor and you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's a jerk, I'm never coming back here, you have to find a different doctor. It's the same with counseling. And there is a difference between counselors and psychiatrists, and then counselors and coaches. There's different things, and different counselors, especially counselors, some are more religious based, some are not at all, some are a little mix of both. So I think it's important to do your research, and don't be afraid to call and ask questions before you go in. And same with coaching. If they're not willing to answer your questions ahead of time, then maybe they're not for you. Being intentional. I know that it's really important to be intentional with the time that you have. And I know that there are many times that I looked back and I regret, I can't remember who I was talking with about this, but I regret all of the time I spent working my business instead of spending time with my kids or spending time with my husband, because in my mind I thought, any free time I need to be working. And I finally learned it with kid number 4, that if they're playing on the floor and they're busy, I'm allowed to play with them. I'm allowed to spend time with them. I don't have to be on my phone working my business every free minute that I have. I don't have to be doing something else that isn't as important. And you find more joy in what you're doing in your business when you're more intentional with your time. If I don't get to something, or I forget to text a customer back, or it takes me 3 extra days to mail out their package, that's okay. I'm not Amazon. I did not promise 2-day shipping. Like, it happens, and that's okay. It's okay to take time for yourself and to take time with the people that you love, or just take time doing something that you want to do. I think too often we're too hard on ourselves when it comes to that. So as a recap, be nice, just be nice to yourself. That's really, no, I'm just kidding. Ask for help, say yes to the things that you enjoy. It doesn't mean that you can say no to everything. Just like I tell my kids, some things you just have to do. You have to work, you have to go to school. You have to clean your room. Those are things that you have to do. But the rest of the way that you spend your time is okay. And if you spend too much time scrolling on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok and you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, I just wasted 30 minutes. Instead of going, I just wasted 30 minutes, go, maybe I needed that 30 minutes. Sometimes in the morning I come home, we drop off our kids at school and we come home, and sometimes I'm just in like an Instagram coma because I just need time to decompress from the crazy morning. And I give myself that 20 to 30 minutes, or sometimes the rabbit hole goes longer. I'm like, I've built that into my day so that way I don't feel bad about the time that I'm giving myself. And again, don't forget to ask for help. Don't, if it's just you, or you whatever it is, ask for help. It can be from your best friend, it can be from anyone that you know, that you're like, that person keeps popping up into my mind, and I don't want you to tell yourself, oh well, they're probably too busy, I don't want to burden them. It's okay to still ask for help. And most people are just ready and waiting to ask for help. Okay, if you don't have any questions, I'm here for it. So don't be afraid. I think someone asked.
Yeah, I was like, you started breaking up about the last minute or so.
Good.
Oh, now you're back. I don't see any questions. I will, a couple things, can I just add a couple things on that kind of complement what you
course.
said? I don't know if it was John Gordon or if it was John O'Leary. Is it John O'Leary? I feel like John, who said the other day, instead of making a stressful list of all the things you have to accomplish during the holiday that are stressing you out, take the time to make a list of the things that are important that you want to do. And like you said that so much better than he did, the way you said it. But it's so true. Like, if you don't take time to find joy in the season, like, who cares about the rest of it, right? It'll get done or it won't. So, and then the other huge takeaway I had, which relates directly to me, is when you made the comment like about taking care of yourself and how like you'd seek out the help for your child, right? Or your spouse or your whatever. And you're just as important. That's my take on what you said. But I think that's such good advice. And then the last thing that you were saying at the end about asking for help, and I'll use me as an example. Like, I'm an 8 and Shelly's not an 8. And so I am not so good, and Shelly knows this totally because we just talked about this like last week. But I think it was last week. Like, everyone is not as receptive to what you need as you want them to be or as you need them to be. And so if you don't tell them what you need, they just might not get it just because they're just not wired to. So I think that is so important that you do ask for that help. And like you said, most people are willing to help, but they got to know you need help. And like, if it's Steve sitting next to me, so I'll use him as example. Like, if it's your spouse, you probably, like you said, you sit down and say, this is what I need from you the next few days. You probably need to literally break it down for them. Right? Because sometimes they're just not, Steve's pretty good about it because he does a lot of that stuff anyways, but sometimes they need it literally broken down. You know, what I need for help is, I need you to do the laundry. I need you to cook the dinner. I need you to put these stamps on these Christmas cards, whatever it is, right? So, yeah. So good.
No, it's true. Well, John and I implemented earlier this year a daily check-in, and we don't necessarily do it every day anymore, but sometimes we'll just, because we both work from home,
And so sometimes I'm like, okay, I need to do a check-in because I'm flipping out right now. Like I'm not doing so well. And even though we do these daily check-ins and we've done all this marriage counseling this year and in the past, I'm sitting there in the car on Friday, flipping out. I'm sitting in the passenger seat, not doing well. I'm quietly not doing well, but I'm thinking to myself, how does he has to know, and he's doing it on purpose, the way he's driving, right? And as we talked about it that night and the next day, he's like, I thought that was just normal. I didn't realize how bad it was, but I never spoke up and said, hello, like, can you just do this for me? And so it was still another reminder of people can't read your mind. Even though I'm assuming in my head, how did he not know? He had to have known, but to him, he was like, how was I supposed to know? So
Yeah.
if you're like, seriously, no one is taking the trash out, it's kind of become a joke in my house because no one takes the trash out but me 9 times out of 10. It's just, okay, this is just something that needs to be done. So instead of getting mad now, I'm like, hey, I'm going to need help from you watching the trash can for the next 4 days because I'm going to be up to my eyeballs in stress. So who cares about the dishes? Can you just work on the trash just for the next 4 days? So just being open and honest about that. Or, dude, somebody in this house take out the trash because I'm walking out the door. I'm getting on a Zoom. I'm going to a meeting. I'm running carpool, whatever it is. Just say, hey, someone else needs to do this before I get home. And not in a mad way. Just be like, this is my expectation and this is what I need. And this goes for if you're married, if you have a significant other, if you have a best friend. This happens all the time in friendship too, where we're not communicating our best. And so we assume that our friends know what we need and know what, and then they say something and, oh, how could she have said that? And then you're like, but I never communicated what I needed either. And sometimes it's really hard. We don't want to put our burdens on other people. We don't want to be rejected, whatever it is. But communication is the #1 cause of any breakdown in any relationship. So if you're willing to communicate, first, try not to do it angry. And then when you're communicating and advocating for yourself in that way, you have less stress, you have less frustration, and you're able to deal with things so much better. And a lot of that, so if you're like, I can't afford counseling, I can't find a good doctor. There are so many books and podcasts out there that give you the same types of tools and help. And they're a little bit cheaper. So that is my other side note.
Does anybody have any questions? If so, drop them in the chat. I feel like I got good therapy tonight. Does anyone else feel like you got good therapy? Yeah, it was good. Good. Now I feel like she broke up. She's like frozen.
Oh, I would always come back.
Oh, there you are. You came back.
I know. I always come back. It's like Ross and Rachel. We're on a break and then we're not.
I don't see any. Oh, wait, hold on. Yes, I did. Yeah, Heather wants to know, can she PM you?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I breaking up?
Yeah, you did break up. I heard you say yeah, and then you broke up again. I feel like her Wi-Fi is saying enough. We've had enough. This has been a great date, but we're done.
My Wi-Fi wants some self-care.
It wants some one-on-one time with you.
Bless it.
All right, you guys. This was really great, Shelley. Thank you so much. And go tell them to take out the trash.
Yeah.
Steve,
Right?
I
It
want
does. It
you
needs to be
to
taken out.
take out the trash for the next week. He takes out the trash anyways. So
Good job, Steve.
Oh, he says not anymore. All right, you guys have a good night. Oh, and again, there is no lounge tomorrow night because it's month end. And so Dan will be live doing his Facebook Live for month end. Also, if you collected Sven orders, I'm just gonna lay this out here. If you collected Sven orders for the $16 adopt a reindeer that everyone is doing on social media, please make sure you set the right expectation with your customers. Like, please expect that this is our unofficial, we don't have any insider information, but our, how many years of, I only have 14 years of experience, but you have 17? 16? 16 and our 30 years of combined experience, since he's not even that old. Please set the right expectation with your customers that you will do your best to get these. But you can't promise, because we really think this is going to be an immediate sellout. So
I've already started, I've said, here's what buddies are available as backup. So I already know if I get in there and Sven's gone, I already know which buddies to order instead. So, because there's a lot of really good $15, $25 options that you can do as backups.
Yep, absolutely. And it's bonus PRV. We didn't count on this. This is just a nice bonus opportunity. So, all right, have a good night, you guys. We will talk to you in December.